Now, just on anti-Semitism in Australia, have a look at what happened to a Jewish man in Melbourne when he tried to get some newspaper articles laminated at Officeworks.
What's that?
I'm pro-Palestine.
That's okay, you're here to do a job of laminating.
Yeah, we have the right to deny jobs.
Is that an Officeworks position or your personal position?
It is an Officeworks. We have the right to deny jobs.
So Officeworks' position is that you're pro-Palestine and you won't take a laminating job?
That's my position, but we have the right to deny jobs.
What's the reason you're denying this job?
Because I'm not comfortable proceeding with it.
Really? What disgraceful discrimination and intolerance. I think that we've all got a right to stop spending our money at Officeworks. Let me bring in Liberal MP and member of the Jewish community, Julian Lesser. Julian, thanks for joining us. You gave a speech this week about anti-Semitism in this country. When you see that example from Officeworks, it must be just gut-wrenching.
It's a shocking example, Chris. My grandmother grew up in Germany and they left Germany in 1936 because Jews at that point were being refused service in shops, and that to the family was the signal that it was time to get out. This isn't government policy, but if it's Officeworks policy, the Officeworks CEO should hang his head in shame. Where is he condemning it? Where is the Minister for Fair Trading condemning this? Where is the Assistant Treasurer, who's responsible for transactions at retail shops, condemning these activities? Too often we see anti-Semitism in this country unanswered by leaders in positions of authorities. Where's the Victorian Human Rights Commission? Where's the Australian Human Rights Commission?
Yes, the
they are
Human
all
Rights Commission.
Turning a blind eye to this stuff.
I understand that Officeworks are saying their policy has been misapplied in that sense, but they need to come out and be clearer and stronger. And as you say, human rights groups and authorities in this country just go absent and AWOL on this stuff. Tell us about your speech. You were launching a photographic exhibition looking at the horrors of October the 7th, and you're talking about the repercussions here in Australia.
Chris, there's a very important exhibition at the Sydney Jewish Museum of photographs taken by the Filipino-Australian artist Emmanuel Santos. They are images of the kibbutzim and the Nova Music Festival in the aftermath of the October 7 attacks. There are some really arresting images there. There's burnt-out cars. The thing that got me as a parent was this image of a children's toy monkey that was hanging from a shelf in the same room that the child who owned the monkey had been murdered earlier that day. We need to be reminded of the horrors of October 7 because, as you pointed out rightly in your editorial, there is not an adequate acknowledgement of that in terms of the response that the world has given to the events that have occurred since that time. And the great tragedy in this country and right around the West has been, instead of siding with the victims of terror, too many people have been blaming the victims and siding with the perpetrators. And that's what we've seen with this terrible anti-Semitism here.
The victim blaming is extraordinary. If it's happening in any other sphere of life, that's what it would be called. It will be called out, but it continues. Even now, as Israel tries to take out the leadership of Hezbollah and Hamas, what do you fear in terms of a broader confrontation, a broader warfare in the Middle East now?
Well, the frame that you put it in your editorial was exactly right. This is all about Iran. I have been calling for months for Australia to reconsider its diplomatic relations with Iran. Why are we giving that country legitimacy of a diplomatic relationship, particularly when Iran is the great exporter of terror? Hezbollah has destroyed Lebanon as a functioning democracy. Hamas is responsible for the single largest murder of Jewish people on a single day since the Holocaust. Iran continues to destabilise countries, and they particularly hate Israel, and we saw them saying death to Israel in the Iranian parliament. Why? Because Israel stands for everything they're against. It stands for freedom, democracy and the rule of law. Iran wants to export its own brand of theocracy around the world. We should stand up against it. It's why Peter Dutton's visit to Israel at the moment is so important. This is what real leadership looks like, Chris. Peter Dutton standing with the only democracy in the Middle East. Why hasn't Albanese visited Israel since the October 7 attacks? Why did Penny Wong not do what Peter Dutton is doing and go south to see the Nova Music Festival site, to see the kibbutzim? Because seeing's believing, and talking to hostages, talking to people whose families have been murdered on site really brings you a memory of a powerful memory and a powerful image that helps motivate policy. And I think this government has been far too hands-off.
It was an important visit by Peter Dutton, and even more important now, given the timing, it would have been a very appropriate time to show support for Israel, given what's unfolding at the moment. Thanks so much for joining us, Julian.
Thanks.